Welcome to On Texas Football. Time for State of the Program. I'm Bobby Burton, joined by Rod Babers, former lifetime Longhorn, as well as Gerry Hamilton. Guys, this week's State of the Program, I'm going to focus on a couple of different pieces to it. First of all, Arch Manning. And what do we need to see this week? Or is it time to consider perhaps going to a backup? We'll talk about that. We'll also talk about this offensive line in the Texas unit and what they can do, maybe or maybe not. And even if they do go to the portal in the offseason, what do we think they need in the portal along the offensive front? All right, Rod, I think let's start with you and want to talk about this part. My question that is concerning is this. Arch Manning has been up and down all season, no doubt about it. Best difficult game, obviously, is Oklahoma, but then he follows it up with a stinker in Lexington. Is his inconsistency now driving a potential decision at quarterback that Sark's going to have to make if he just goes to a more bland offense? I mean, what is the thought process right now with Arch and the quarterback situation at Texas?
I think Sark has already modified the offense somewhat. If you go look at the amount of deep throws and deep shots, he's already curtailed those in the last 2 games. I think that's part of it. And he is somewhat basically guaranteed that the offense is going to look different versus Mississippi State. He has said that. Now, if it doesn't, I'm sure that he'll get called out by the media and all of us if it doesn't look different. So I think he understands that you're at a turning point now. You're at a crossroads right now with this offense. More than halfway through the season, you have one of the worst offenses in college football. It is just that simple, considering the talent you have, and that includes him as a play caller. So yeah, it started. Drastic times call for drastic measures. So yes, you should consider a quarterback change if Arch can't go out there and just operate the offense at a rudimentary level. And I think that's what you're going to get here, guys. I think he's going to strip this offense down to the basics. I think you're going to get a basic rudimentary offense that almost anybody can operate. It's probably going to be considered boring for a lot of Longhorn fans. They're probably not going to like it because he's not going to have the exotic elements of the usual Sark offense. But I think he's going to get it to the basic kind of core of it and allow the defense and the special teams to lead the way and the offense take a back seat, which has not been the case since Sark has been here. I don't think Longhorn fans are going to like that. But in terms of a quarterback change, I think the offensive line is your main issue. You got a lot of them. You got like 6-7 issues you're trying to fix on offense simultaneously right now. And that's why it seems like right now they're in quicksand. They keep sinking deeper and deeper. But I do think the offensive line is your biggest issue. And I don't know if the quarterbacks you have right now, and that's Arch included, and even Matthew Caldwell, I don't know if any of them have that type of quality where they can still go out there and make plays and have great second reaction, off schedule, off script plays and keep drives alive with a subpar offensive line. I mean, Arch has some of that, and we've seen some of that, but it's not enough to carry an offense, to be a one-man show. They're not hero ball quarterback, and this is basically what you kind of need right now. It's actually you need a hero ball kind of quarterback. There was times when Sam Ehlinger will play hero ball. He's actually better at it than Arch is in playing hero ball. You don't have those kind of guys, so I don't know if a quarterback change truly will help, but we'll see after this week when he strips the offense down to its most basic form. If Arch can't do that, yeah, you got to think about making a change.
But you think, before we go, you think it's more offensive line than quarterback at this point?
I do. I know people, I've seen Arch make, enough plays where I think, you can build an offense around his strengths. I know what those are. For the O-line, guys, they have a tough time pass blocking, blitzes, simulate. Ask Florida, they can't block the simulated pressure. Ask Kentucky, can't block the blitz. They can't block 4-man rushes. Tough for them to block 3-man rushes sometimes. And run blocking, well, all they could block was the outside zone against Oklahoma, but they couldn't do it against Kentucky. I don't know if there's one thing the offensive line does well. Give me the one thing they do well. Give it to me.
We don't know.
One thing.
We don't know.
One thing. I know what Arch does well. I can give you like 2 or 3 things Arch does well. I can't give you one thing the O-line does well. Not one. That's a problem.
Yep. Hey, Gerry, Arch Manning, you think it's O-line? You think it's Arch? You think it's a mix? Obviously, it's a mix. But
it's a mix.
Where it's more out on all this?
I don't disagree with Rod, but I think the quarterback position's about being a playmaker.
Yep.
And you can't miss the throws he's made and play at a high level. And I know it's easy for us to sit here and say that we're not getting hit in our tackled on our throwing shoulder by 300-pound individuals and hit under our chin.
Yep.
Okay. It's very easy to sit here for me and say that. But at the same time, I mean, the quarterbacks, where you become a difference maker quarterback is making plays when the chips are down for your offense. I mean, that's where money's made. I mean, that's where guys go to another level as a player is, do you become a playmaker when the chips are down? And more times than not this year, he's missed it's just the throws at feet, the throws to injuries Saturday against Kentucky. I mean, it's the simple plays that are there for him seem to be the most difficult plays for him this season. And that's why I think his issues here. I don't think it's a talent thing with him. I don't think it's a talent thing with Arch Manning. But I do think as a quarterback, you have to, when your team is struggling, what differentiates guys is they have to just be a playmaker. They have to find a way to be a playmaker. They have to find a way to make plays. And what Sark said, I think I agree with Sark, and I'd be interested, Rod and Bobby, to hear y'all's opinion on this one too. But somebody asked him about, well, he benched Quinn against Georgia and he didn't bench Arch. And Sark's response to that was, well, I didn't think Quinn was seeing anything. And I think Arch is seeing it. He's just not executing it. And I tend to agree with that because you're missing wide open people.
Yeah.
Now, not playing well is not playing well, but I get what Sark is saying there. But the question becomes, how much of that can you watch as a coach and still continuing to run the guy out there?
And I want to say this. Some of those throws are not difficult, not high difficulty throws, to your point, Gerry. They're just open throws. I mean, you dirt a ball to Wingo, that may be purposeful at some level because you're worried about getting hit or he may not really be open with an under linebacker there. You miss Jack Injuries though by 5 yards when he's wide open. I mean, Gerry, you might be able to make that pass. There's
Rod would say yes. We used to work out.
The crosser to Wingo that's only a 5-yard throw. Those are the problematic ones, not the deep crossing pattern. And those a lot of people will miss. And Matthew Caldwell may not be able to make. But my guess is a backup could make those others. And so at what level? That's the real question I have is.
That's the conundrum, Bobby, is
how
much of making those throws helps your offensive line?
Yeah, you're right. Helps the play calling. Keeping drives alive. It helps everything. I agree with you. And
that's a hard thing about all this.
It is. And that's why if you are going to strip the offense down and make it a more kind of the basic form of the Sark offense, those are the kind of throws that you are going to be scheming up. Easy, just wide open, wide window throws, right? Like, oh, you schemed open for a nice mesh concept, and Ryan Wingo has 2 yards of separation. Just put it on him. The Jack Injuries throw where the curl route is wide open, right? That's the concern, that if you can't hit those easy throws, then how's the offense going to be successful in its most basic form when you don't have the very complex route schemes that we're talking about, earlier in the season?
With multiple reads and different pass sets, et cetera. Hopefully they're able to establish a run game in this contest against Mississippi State. I think that'll be a big piece. I do want to talk about the offensive line overall next, but first I want to say thank you to our sponsor, every state of the program here on Wednesdays, brought to you by our friend Adam Lowy over at the Lowy Law Firm. If you've been injured in a car wreck, truck wreck, automobile accident of any kind, make sure you give Adam and his folks a shout. LowyLawFirm.com. He's a UT Law School grad, 20-plus years experience of doing the best by his clients. Again, that's LowyLawFirm.com. We mentioned this offensive line. Where are the problems at exactly? Like, have we identified left guard right now because he's new is an issue? Center because he's new is an issue, but it can't just be those guys. We also think that part of this blocking problem has been at tight end and on the perimeter with the wide receivers. So if you start looking forward, Rod and Gerry, and talk about going potentially to the portal for an offensive lineman, what are you even looking for right now, in your opinion? I mean, because I think Goosby's probably good. I think Baker is actually, I mean, he's only a true sophomore, redshirt freshman, and already playing. And then you got Nick Brooks, who you think is got a real load of talent. So there's two spots left, but guys like Nate Kibble coming on, Jackson Christian, Coleman. I mean, where are you at on all of that, Gerry, from a line perspective and portal?
Well, my first thing about this before we get into a need is I do want to throw something out there, because I think we live in a world where the portal fixes all. Oregon had 275 yards and 20 points at home against Indiana.
And they went for three offensive linemen in the portal?
With three offensive linemen out of the portal and Decory and Moore. And they had 275 yards and 20 points at home against Indiana. Texas Tech played in Tempe last weekend with all their portals, and they had They had 7 points with about a minute to go in the game. They had 275 yards in that game. So I just want to point that out, that for the people that just think the portal's an instant fix, it's not really proving out that way. I think it's that
maybe not for the offensive line.
I want to put that out there, but now with that being said, if you say there's one singular position, maybe we like where Trevor Goosby looks like in year two. We like what Nick Brooks is going to become. Hey, Brandon Baker, he's going to end up being a really good player. If you're talking about a one position, but anybody, it's like, oh, just got to throw all these guys away and start and just go get 5 guys on the portal. I don't think that's the answer. So it's proven it's not the answer. So I think you're going to have to look, depending on where you're at with Nate Kibble and your young guards, right guard, where DJ Campbell's a 3.5-year starter, essentially. And then it gets down to how much do you like Daniel Cruz? Is he ready? Would he be ready to be full-time starter? And then what does it look like behind him if he doesn't come through for you?
Yeah. Here's the question I have right now to ask everybody is, they probably should have gone to the portal in retrospect now, not only at offensive line, but also at running back. How is it possible that they could do both? And what I mean by that, when you talk about offensive line, I'm talking about both for offensive line. Attract new guys, keep guys, as well as go to the portal. I think that's what they've got to try to do. And I think it's going to be difficult. Rod, if you had a magic wand and you could wave it over the offensive line from a portal perspective, how would you attack it?
I'd probably focus on the interior, kind of what Gerry talked about. Probably focus on the interior and get a couple of guys who are versatility. I'd love someone who had played center for an extended period of time. Get yourself some contingency plans. I mean, Gerry brought up some of the young guys coming up through the pipeline, and you're hoping that those guys are, obviously are going to develop and become guys who can be in that rotation for you. But, hope is not a strategy. And that's where the portal can help you, where, hope doesn't have to be a strategy for you. You can go out there and get guys who have actually proven it and done it. So I would focus on the interior, because I'm with you guys. I like the profile of the tackles, the athletic profile. I do like the upside of both of those guys. I think Goosby's going to be good. I think at one point Baker's going to fill out also and be a good player for you. Like I said, I'd focus on the inside, and I'd try to go get me a very experienced center. I know those guys aren't easy to find in the portal. None of these offensive linemen are, but I think the interior, the guts of your O-line is where I would try to get reinforcements.
Interesting. You said something that struck me there. Hope is not a strategy. It felt like hope was a strategy in the portal this year at offensive line.
Yeah.
They only brought one guy in, Emmanuel Pregnon, who is now starting, by the way, at Oregon, the big offensive guard from USC that transferred to Oregon. But at running back, it's almost like it felt like that a little bit. They hoped that Jarrett Gibson would come on and be an interior run threat for them. They hoped that Cedric Baxter's injury would get him back and going. And he showed early signs of doing that. since he's been re-injured. I agree with that. And I think that, Rod, to your point, is the portal at some level should be your insurance policy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not so much that you're necessarily going to get high-end top-line guys. You're not going to get Andrew Makuba with every guy every time you go to the portal, right? But you could get Brad Spence, right? You can get guys that are good, solid players for you, and you can do that along the offensive line. And so I'm in that same category as y'all as it relates to that. I just hope Texas figures out exactly what they need when the portal opens, because that's going to be very, very important this offseason, because otherwise you're going to go into next season with you'll go in with 3 returning starters, theoretically.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes. All right.
And Bobby, one other point to that is what's happening with rev share. Like, there's decisions that are going to have to be made around this. I think it's the player swap is an easy discussion, but what all is going to go into that and those decisions, I think is very interesting as well from an NIL perspective.
Gotcha. Yeah, a lot of those things are just up in the air. Look, Longhorns go to Mississippi State this weekend. How would y'all categorize this game? Must win?
Oh, yeah.
Even if look, if they don't win, the season is not over, but the hopes of, ribbon cutting at the end of it is certainly over.
Yep.
What are y'all's thoughts on this game overall, Gerry?
Yeah, I obviously must win game. Not like I would predict 10-2 right now. Texas is not playing at all that level on offense, but it's a must-win game. I mean, Mississippi State is a better team. They've lost 15 games in a row, but
in the SEC.
Yeah, they beat Arizona State. 15 SEC losses in a row. Where you get into issues when a team doesn't meet expectations is when you lose games you should win. And then what do you have to play for? I mean, that's when you get into real issues in seasons, to me. Hope is not a strategy, but keeping hope alive is big for teams.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're sitting there at 5-3 Sunday night when you get on the flight back to Austin, there's going to be a lot of, we don't have anything to play for left. That's when you get into real issues, because what's remaining on the schedule, those teams aren't looking at it that way right now. And so it's a must-win game. Texas needs to win this game to go into Vanderbilt at 6-2 and be able to match everything Vanderbilt's going to bring to you in Austin.
Yeah, you make a great point. You make a great point, Gerry, and Rod, get your after this week, Texas, the 3 of the last 4 games that Texas plays are against teams that have postseason aspirations.
Yep.
Vanderbilt has only lost 1 game, right? Georgia, 1 game. A&M, none. Gerry's right on this.
Yeah, he's right. I agree with that.
Diego Papi's not going to care about your feelings.
and I will say this too. The test is talking about the rest of the schedule. Your defense, which is the tip of the spear right now, if your offense doesn't pick it up, you're going to leave your defense out to dry. I mean, you're going to leave them pretty much out in the cold, because these offenses will be able to make some plays and score points if they're out in the field too long. They're out there for 80-some plays or something. That defense at one point, you're going to see, the dam break. Yeah. And that's why this is a big game, because, the conversation and the narrative about, should Sark hire, a play caller, and is Sark right, for the not obviously the head coach job, but as the play caller and head coach, that conversation has never been louder among Longhorn fans and the media. For the first time, Sark's asked about it as well. So this is a great man in the mirror moment for Sark. I'm not worried about the defense against Mississippi State. I think Mississippi State will make a few plays. That defense, I think, matches up well with what Mississippi State does. And Blake Shapen doesn't run a ton, so he's not a guy that's going to scramble. They don't have to worry about that element. So I think the defense will be okay. But in special teams, by the way, I think the Niblet, this basically Niblet run that he's on, I think it may be done too, because I think teams are going to stop kicking to him.
100%. Punt short or punt out of bounds a little bit.
Yeah, it's just ill-advised. They're not going to kick to him anymore. So you're going to lose that, by the way, that little cheat code that gets you easy field
Rod,
position.
that's a great point, because Jeff Levy's not going to watch that tape, and he's going to watch that tape and say they wouldn't have scored if we don't punt the ball to nibble it.
Yeah, they ain't kicking to that dude. That's not happening. So you about to lose it, and that's great respect for what Nibble has done. My point,
Yeah.
But this is a big game for the offense, for Sark and the offense. They have to establish some identity. They have to establish some success, being able to keep drives alive, and being able to, obviously make plays and give their defense a break. And I think that's why I think this game is so intriguing for the offense more than anything.
And Bobby, I want to say this. What's going to be so interesting from my perspective on this game is after the Florida game, where Florida pushed Texas around physically, and they did. Texas made it a game, but it was clear anybody that watched that game, whether you're in the stands or on the TV, you know who physically won the fight. Then Texas came out with, it seemed like, a lot more purpose against Oklahoma, which is a rivalry game, right? They should. Doesn't take anything to get up for that. Then you go to Kentucky, and physically it was very similar or worse than the Florida game. And now you're coming back off of that type of game once again. That's where I'm going to be really interested to see this Texas team, how they respond in Starkville, because the reality for Mississippi State is Jeff Levy saying, we're due, guys. We should have beat Florida. We missed 2 touchdowns. We had Tennessee almost. We are due. Bring the fight to these guys physically like you hadn't brought the fight to anybody this season, and let's end this losing streak. That's what his message is going to be to his team, because they see it on tape.
It should be.
What's Texas going to bring?
It should be. All right. That's going to do it for this week's Stay of the Program. Good discussion, guys. Really good. I want to thank our sponsor again, Adam Lowy over at the Lowy Law Firm. If you've been hurt in an automobile accident, make sure you reach out to Adam. LowyLawFirm.com. That is LowyLawFirm.com. He's been helping injured Texans for more than 20 years, he and his firm. If you need a no strings attached consultation, again, LowyLawFirm.com. All right, we've got more later today. We got the breakdown coming up around 3 o'clock this afternoon. Then we got the live stream tonight around 7:15. For Gerry Hamilton and Rod Babers, I'm Bobby Burton. You guys have a good day. Hook 'em horns.
Hook 'em.